So students, good evening to you all, and welcome to a maths paper one. Actually, it is a May-June maths paper one preparation class. My name is Mr. Khan. I'm one of the tutors with Early to CXC. And I just want to say, first of all, it's a pleasure to be here. This session, which as you all could see, will have a paper that I selected, which is actually the Jan of this year, Jan 2025, paper one. It is a pre-prepared paper. The solutions are already inserted. However, I will be going through it and, welcome to any suggestions in terms of the methodology to answering them. So we're going to start off with question one. You say, what percentage of 40 is 8? And looking at what I did, you just take 8, you put it over 40, you multiply by 100% because, again, it is a percentage. And we just break it down, right? And this is where your tables, you got to know your tables. So I can say 8 into 8, 1, 8 into 45, and 5 into 5, 1, 5 into 100 will be like 20 to get, your 20%. These kind of questions normally, I said, should take less than a minute to do. So we get B as in bat 20%. Question 2, this asks here, value the digit 2 in the number 748.621. Now, this 2 here belongs actually to the hundredths column. Some students may believe that, 6 is ones, and then, 2 will be your tens, and no. Because you're on the right side of the decimal point, you start with tenths, then you go to hundredths. So 2 actually is in your hundredths column. It will come like 2 over 100, but we could see here there's not exactly that unless you convert the 100 to 10 squared. So the answer really is 2 over 100 or 2 over 10 squared, which is E, right? 10 squared is 100, so 2 over 10 squared. And going on to question 3, we're looking at square root of 17 squared minus 15 squared. I know I hear comments where people may say they don't need to learn their timetables. You need to know your timetables. 1 to 12, I also suggest the students to learn 15 timetables and a measure 17 timetables. And lo and behold, question half this here, what is 17 by 17? Remember, paper one, you're not allowed to use a calculator, so your mental had to be sharp, or you had to be quick on paper doing your working. We multiplied out, 17 by 17 is 289. And 15 squared, which is 15 by 15, will get 225. Subtracting them, you get 64. And the square root of 64, cannot really get that sign, but just for short, square root of 64 will give us 8. So C is the answer for number 3. Just remember, and I said it just now, you have a minute and something per question. But I like to train students where assume you have a minute or less. So you could gain time to focus on, the heavier questions on the paper lower down. Number 4. In a school, the ratio, the number of pupils to the number of teachers is 20 to 1. If the number of pupils is 840, how many teachers are there? So, reading this, we can assume that maybe in a classroom, for now, we have one teacher, most likely we have 20 students. And if we go from the point of view, well, how much classes will I have from 840? I divide the 840 by 20, and, you'll get 42 because, cross out these zeros, top and bottom. I say 2 into 2, 1. 2 into 8 is 4. 2 into 4 is 2, and you get like 42 batches or 42 classes. But because there's only one teacher per class, right? One teacher per class, 42 classes will give you 42 teachers, right? But it'd be 42 by 1 to give you 42 teachers overall. And answer is B for that one. You can see it highlighted. highlighted there. Number 5, we have a bag of apples that they say can be shared equally among either 6, 10, or 15 children. And they're asking for the minimum number of apples that is likely to be in the bag. Now, when we hear minimum, I'm going to be honest with you all. Hey, CSEC syllabus, minimum in this context, you'll be referring to LCM, lowest common multiple. It's not a no-brainer with that one. You know, 6, 10, and 15. Some people could do this thing mentally. I decided to kind of go the long route tonight or this evening where I kind of showing, you have multiples of 6, multiples of 10, multiples of 15, and you just circle the number that is lowest and common to all 3 sets of multiples. With 6 timetables, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and 10 timetables, easiest ever, 10, 20, 30, etc. 15 might be a little shaky for some, but hey, again, you got to know your tables, right? 15 by 1 is 15, 15 by 2 is 30, and immediately you could see 30 is common. Again, I only decided to do this to explain what could be done mentally if we know our tables. If not, we may have to resort to this approach. But yeah, 30 is your LCM there. That is E, okay? Number 6, 99 by 101 has the same value as. Well, for those who are listening and watching this, one way, as you see down here, of dealing with is to break down the 101 into 100 plus 1. So if I have 99 by 101, it comes like 99 by 100 plus 1. And in accordance with distributive law, which you all can research in your spare time, comes all the time though. You're multiplying 99 by 100 plus 99 by 1. And that is the expanded version of this. And looking down here, you can see 99 by 100 plus 99 by 1, you get D. All right, D as in dog. Seem to be rolling cool so far. Number 7, which of the following sets is defined by? And some students may watch this and say, wow, so how do we read this? So, basically with set notation, that's your symbolisms with set theory. This just means X is a member of real values, and X is between 4 and minus 2, including 4 and minus 2. It's just a simple way of saying X is less than or equal to 4, and minus 2 is less than or equal to X, meaning that X is between minus 2 and 4, including minus 2 and 4. And what are those values? They are minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All these are your numbers that are between minus 2 and 4, including minus 2 and 4. So looking through the rest, you will see it doesn't make sense. So D is the answer with this one. All right, so this page, which was a little blurred, and I do have backup for that. Going to number 8, switching tabs. Question 8, as you all could see, we're moving away from number theory and computation. We're going into set theory. Say item 8 refers to the following Venn diagram, which shows intersecting sets P and Q. It just means that the sets overlap. So those sets there, they overlap, and they're saying in the Venn diagram, N of P is 6, which means that the number of members in P is 6 members. N of Q is 8, and N of P intersect Q would be 4. So the middle area, the overlap region, would be 4. But, we have all these other numbers to juggle. I'm going to show you all a formula here that you all need to know for exam. Students, just pay attention to this. N of P plus N of Q minus N of P intersect Q will give me N of P union Q. You all just got to learn this. N of P essentially is given to be 6. n of q essentially is given to be 8 minus n of p intersect q was provided as 4. So what is 6 add 8 minus 4? Because they're asking for down here the number of elements in the shaded region. The shaded region represents everything, okay? That's a union between P and Q. So they're asking for the number of elements that belong to P union Q. Now 6 add 8, 14. 14 minus 4 is 10. So the answer is 10. You know, some people may say, well, just add, 6 and 8 and subtract from 4. Fine, yes. But I am showing why. Because this is a formula that you'll need to apply for, that paper one that is coming there. Okay, so we got 10, that's B. Number 9, the saying here, in which of the following pairs of sets is one set not a subset of the other? Now, this is a question where, we're looking at some of the answers here. All right, so we have P, which is multiples of 12, and Q factors of 3. And you could go through all, but because of time, if we look at D here with multiples of 5, and we have multiples of 10. Now, looking at this here and looking at this, okay, I will have to say, we have a little situation with this. So I'm going to show you all now. We're going to put A here. Now, again, answers, which are done. We could have our little errors here and there, but I will say this, and I will put the answer for this here. Multiples of 12 are what? And let me see if I could just put this in then. What are multiples of 12? So your 12 timetables, you'll have what? 12, 24, 36, 48, etc. And then with Q, factors of 3 are what? What could go into 3? So 1, 3, right? What 3 is a prime number. And obviously we could see here that, hey, factors of 3 cannot go into this. Okay? Neither can this. Multiples of P go into this. So the answer is A. I will erase this though. Okay? So the answer is A. And thank God I'm here for that, to make little corrections. All right, number 10. All students in a class play Scrabble or checkers or both. 16% of the students play both Scrabble and checkers. Now, once you see a question starting to unfold with this, I always suggest students to kind of do a quick sketch of a Venn, kind of like a Venn diagram, something, So I have Scrabble and I have chess here using the freeform art on the side. Okay, so they said that 16% play both. That is this 16 in the middle. Okay, they say the number of students who play checkers only is twice the number of students who play Scrabble only. So the number of people who play checkers only, we don't know. I'll call it 2x because it is twice, the number for Scrabble only. So I'm going to call Scrabble X, and I'm going to call checkers, which is twice. I'll call it 2x, okay? So they say, what percentage of students play checkers but not Scrabble? So essentially you want to find 2x because 2x will represent those who, they play checkers, they don't play Scrabble, so they have nothing to do with this circle. All right. How do we work that out? Well, essentially, remember, all students playing either Scrabble or checkers or both, your total percentage should be 100%, right? So if I add x and 16 and 2x, I should get 100. So x at 2x is 3x, and 3x at 16 will give me 100. Carry 16 across, become minus. I guess we're doing some algebra here. 100 minus 16 will give me 84. I divided by 3 to get x, and 84 over 3, you will get 28. Again, there's no calculator. Students are going to be hitting this manually. But they didn't ask for x. They asked for who playing checkers, but not Scrabble, right? That is checkers only is actually 2x. So you multiply the 28 by 2 to get 56, which is B. This would have been a question that would delay some, what I call time waster questions, in terms of it sucks up your time, but we gotta have our head on. Just saying, you know, this kind of instruction to make things a little bigger. I hope this is fine. All right. 11. Item 11 refers to the following Venn diagram, which shows two intersecting sets. Number of students in each set is indicated. Merely reading is seeing U. Students who play games use a universal set. H are those who play hockey. V are those who play volleyball. How many students play either hockey or volleyball, but not both? Now, looking at this, playing either hockey or volleyball, but not both. 2 students play both. You're not interested in that. 3 students play neither hockey or volleyball. They're not interested in those sports. So we're not interested in 3. We're not interested in the 2. All we're interested in is the 5, which are those who play hockey alone. And you're interested in the 4, which are those students who play volleyball alone. If you add the 5 and the 4, you get 9. So 9 students essentially will play hockey or play volleyball, but they're not playing both. Now, I know you've seen the lettering. That was a typo on their part. So, you know, A, B, C, D, we will account it as C for now. All right? So that was the makeup page to cater for this blurriness. Now, you're switching tabs to number 12. All right, keeping a good pace. Set up positive integers that are divisible by 7 is an example of. Now, integers that are divisible by 7 would represent all the multiples of 7. 7, 14, 21, 28, etc. And that is going on forever. Doesn't stop. All right. So what set would represent a limitless number of elements? Infinite set, right? So B as in bat, infinite. So it looks like we're moving into consumer arithmetic now, okay? So let's see what's going on here. Items 13 and 14 refer to the following diagram. Shows part of a shopping bill. You can see this. And, you know, we have P, we have Q, we have T, we have unit cost price, total cost price. In case you're wondering what is unit cost price, students, unit cost price will represent the cost of the item, whether it's like per kilogram in this case, you know. So for example, like with here, with sugar, the cost per kilogram will be like $3.60. We do not know P, we do not know Q or T. All right. They say the correct values for P, Q, and T are. I found some space below to do it. And how do we work out P? If we look at it carefully, we divide the total cost, which is $12.40, by the number of kilograms to find the cost per kilogram. If we divide $12.40 by 4, what will we get? You know, 4 into 12 is 3, 4 into 4 is 1, with the point in the middle, you get $3.10, right? So immediately you can see A is wrong and C is wrong. So between B and D already. With T, and again, we can't work out Q unless we work out T, right? Well, how do we work out T? We added $12.40 to the $7.20. And when we add these two, we subtract it from the total or the subtotal of $40.40. You could recognize that easily down here. So we added 2 figures I just showed. $12.40 with $7.20, and subtract it from your $40.40, you get $20.80. All right. Now, getting T is good, but how do we get Q? All right, knowing T is $20.80, which is here. How do I get Q? I divide T by what? By 8, right? To find for 1 kilogram. So I divide T, wherever T is, by 8. So I'm going to divide $20.80 by 8. So, 8 into 22, right? We mean the 4. And we know that'll be 48. So 8 into 48 will give 6, right? So $2.60. And all figures line up here, be D, right? Number 14, according to the bill, the amount paid for VAT is. Well, VAT, again, looking at the question, VAT is 8%. So we get 8% of $40.40. 8 over 100 by this. Okay, working that out, and if I just try something quickly for you all. All right, so if I say 8, like 4, actually, 4 into 8, 2, and 4 into 100, you get 25, and you work your way from there. You multiply, you multiply the 2 by the $40.40, and then you divide by 25. All these things are, as I would say, things you have to be good at. All right. Working it through, you should get $3.23. And we cater for that when you working out this stuff. You need to have your speed in. Okay. So VAT is $3.23. Students, remember that you're not allowed to use a calculator, and you gotta do it manually. All right. Even though if you say, well, sir, I can't already divide it quickly, immediately you could see it's not C, it's not D. So you don't narrow it down. So you just kind of persevere from there. Okay? I'm just saying. All right. All right. So making it bigger. Going on to 15. They say at a bank, $2.60 EC is equivalent to $1. And for every $1 exchange, 10 cents EC is deducted as an exchange rate. So how many EC dollars will Leon receive if he exchange 1,000 US? All right. So the bank is obviously charging us for converting, our US into EC. First of all, one rule I always tell my students, and you all can listen here, converting from a larger currency into a smaller, so like from US to EC, you multiply by the exchange rate. We could see the exchange rate is $2.60 for every US dollar. So I multiply 1,000 by 2.6, you get 2,600 EC dollars. And because that is 10 cents EC for every US dollar, for 1,000 US, your tax should be 0.1 by 1,000 to give you 100 EC. Because remember, it is 10 cents for every US dollar. So for 1,000 US, 1,000 times, right? It'd be 0.1 by 1,000. You get 100 EC, and you just deduct the 100 from the 2,600 because the bank is charging that, and you get 2,500 EC. Okay, so C is your answer there. 16, a calculator which is marked at 120 is sold for cash at a 30% discount. How much change would Suzanne receive if she pays for the calculator $100 bill? All right, now because it's $100 bill, all right, and you have $120, let's get a discount first to get 30% of 120, and you could subtract it back from 120 to get the price of the calculator. However, I'm showing a shortcut here this evening. Instead of finding 30% of 120 and then subtracting it back from 120 to get the price of the calculator, all we could do is find 70% of 120. Because think about it. If I find 30% and then subtract it back from the whole, it just comes like finding 70% of the whole. So 70 over 100 by 120, we could cross out zeros top and bottom, here and here, here and here. Be 7 by 12, you get $84. A little easier to do than what we were doing down here. All right. So 7 by 12, you get $84. And because hey, Suzanne paid with $100 bill, your change will be what? 100 minus 84 to get you $16. And that is E. All right, 17. By selling a bag for 1,140, we shall incur a loss of 5%. At what price should he have sold the bag to gain a profit of 5%? Very interesting question and very tricky as well. It's very easy for students to make errors with. So I'm going to show you all tonight what we should do. Think about this, class. If we shall incur a loss of 5%, that means he really sold it at 95%. I want you all to notice tonight that you always start with 100%. And if you look to sell the item, it's either you go higher than 100 to make a profit or you go lower than 100% to make a loss. Since he went below the 100 mark or the 100% mark by 5%, he essentially sold the item, which is the 1140, at a 95% mark of the initial cost price. So what we need to do, or one way of doing it, is to find the initial cost price. What would be my initial cost price? It would be 100% over 95 by 1140. And working this out, you'll get $1,200 as your cost price. Again, you could say 5 into 95 and then 5 into 100 and work your way from there. You get $1,200 for your cost price, but they didn't ask for your cost price. They asked for the selling price if you made a profit of 5%. So what's 5% now on your 100? It'll be 105 over 100, which was the cost price, by 1,200, which is the actual cost. So 105 over 100, in other words, 105% over 100%, because it's like ratio, by your 1,200 from here, cross out your zeros, you get 105 by 12 to get 1,260. There are numerous ways to do this, but I will say overall, again, this answer, it is a tricky question. Not going to deny that. 18. Cost of machine is estimated to be decreasing at the rate of 10% every year. If it currently costs $6,000, what will be the estimated value of the machine after 2 years? So here what? Depreciation, as you know, is a decrease in price. We find 10% of 6,000. Shortcut through, instead of doing all this, just drop a zero and you get $600. So it doesn't drop by 600. So your value after the first year will be a 6,000. Subtract your 600 to give you 5,400. That's the value of the machine after 1 year. In your second year, we find 10% of your 5,400, right? Just drop a zero. You got to do all this here. Hold on, I put it there. Just drop a zero. You get 540. And what you think you do with that 540? That is the decrease in its price. So you subtract 540 from your 5,400, you get 4,860. C. $19. Man pays 60 cents for every 200 meter cube of gas used, plus a fixed charge. If he pays $170.75, when he uses 55,000 meter cube of gas, how much is the fixed charge? So I know students, you must be seeing all these figures like, where do I begin with this? First thing we need to establish, the last thing that was said is the 55,000. That's important. Sometimes the last thing that you end with is the first thing you start with. 55,000 was used. Guess what? For every 200 meter cube, you charge 60 cents. So how about we divide the 55,000 by 200, cross out your zeros top and bottom, and you work it through. 2 into the 55 or 2 into 550 when you cross out 2 zeros top and bottom. 2 into 550, you get 275, and you multiply this by 60 cents, because 60 cents for every 200 meter cube. So I multiply 275 by 60 cents, or I multiply 275 by 0.6, up to you, however you want to do it. What I did here, I just said 275 by 60, I'll get my answer, which will be 16,500, and I just move the point 2 places to my left to convert it back to dollars, and you get $165. Now, what they ask for in the question is the fixed charge. If the total price of the bill is $178.75, I subtract the $165, which is the cost for using the gas. I subtract the $165 from the $178.75, and I get $13.75. This extra cost have to be what they charge us for, using the gas, other than just the 60 cents per every 200 meter cube. Maybe there's like a service charge or fixed charge, it's always incorporated in a bill. So $13.75 is your answer here, which is A. 20, compound interest on 12,000 for 2 years at 10% per annum compounded annually is. Some students, when they watch this, they try to apply a simple interest formula. No, it marks compound interest. Okay, I'm just saying that up front. So it's not simple interest. There's no simple interest formula here. So I1, which represents the interest in the first year, we find 10% of 12,000, and you just drop a zero shortcut to get $1,200. And compound interest means you add in on the amount given. So I add 1,200 to 12,000, you get 13,200, and after that, we get the interest for the second year on this. So it's 10% of 13,200. You get 1320. Just drop a zero, $1,320. Guess what you do with that? You add that to the 13,200, and you get $14,520. That's D. And at this point, we finished 1/3 of the paper, and you can see we completed the consumer arithmetic section, which was a little hefty for some. Now we're moving into the algebra side of things. All right, product of a number P and its reciprocal may be written as, well, product, as you know, means multiply, and the reciprocal of P is 1 on P. So product of P by its reciprocal, sorry I had to move my head like that, but product of P by its reciprocal be P by 1 on P. Okay, so that's the pretty basic there. 22, and you can see referred to a diagram rectangle. We had the sides x minus 4 and 2. They say the area of the rectangle in cm squared is x squared. So your area is x squared. And they're saying that the equation that may be used to find the value of x is, well, area of a rectangle is what? Length by breadth. So it's just 2 by x minus 4. As you can see down here, will give me the area, which is x squared. Pretty straightforward. Easy answer there. 23. Althea, Bob and Chris collect shells. Althea has P shells. Bob has twice as many shells. So that's done already, 2P as Althea. and Chris has 4 more than the total number of shells that both Althea and Bob collected. Altogether, the total number of shells they have is. So total number of shells, P for Althea, Bob is 2P, it's twice. And we just said that Chris has 4 more than the total of Althea and Bob. The total of Althea and Bob will be P plus 2P and 4 more on that, because Chris, he's a stunner. So, 4 on that will be just P plus 2P add 4. Now the total, if you add all this is adding again algebraic terms. You add all your P's, P plus 2P is 3P, plus P is 4P, plus 2P again will give you 6P, add 4. Now if you look here, you're not seeing no answer like that. Maybe we had to do a little bit of manipulation, maybe some factorization. We don't see in brackets. What common between 6 and 4? I could pull out 2, right? What's 2 into 6? 3. So with the P, so you have 3P in the brackets, and what's 2 into 4? 2. So if I pull out the 2 again, 2 into 6 is 3. With the P, that's 3P plus. If I pull out 2 here, what's 2 into 4? 2, right? So immediately you can see the answer is D as in door. 24. 3 add 2 on x equal 1. The value of x is. Well, looking at this, I decided to do a different approach. I carried the 3 across, and the plus in front of the 3 that you're not seeing will become minus, because we learned that when you carry terms across an equal sign, it becomes what? Opposite. In other words, the sign that is in front of the term becomes opposite. So the plus that we're not seeing that does exist becomes minus. So 1 minus 3 is minus 2. If 2 on x is minus 2, what's a quick way of finding x? What I decided to do was flip. So I flipped the 2 on x and made it x on 2 to get the x on top. And I obviously had to flip the right side. So if I flip minus 2 come like, let me just put something here. Minus 2 comes like minus 2 divided by 1. So obviously if I flip it, what will I get? I'll get 1 over minus 2, yeah? Which is what we see in here. So if I flip the minus 2 reciprocal, I get 1 on minus 2. And carry this 2 across. Because the x is divided by the 2, what's the opposite of division? Multiply. So I carry the 2 across. The 2 will be multiplied by negative a half. And 2 by minus a half. 2 into 2, 1. So it's 1 divided by minus 1. You get minus 1. Okay, that's A there. All right. Not very hard, but just interesting to look at. More algebra. And we deal with indices, powers. So 5 to the power n plus 1 by 5 to the power n plus 2. What's the value of this when n is minus 1? Straightforward. But first thing I want to say is this. I decided to show here that when you multiply, you do add the powers on top. So I add n plus 1 with n plus 2. N plus n is 2n. And 1 add 2 is 3. So you get 5 to the power 2n plus 3. And then now I substitute n with minus 1. What will I get? So I will get 5 to the power 2 by what? Minus 1 add 3. 2 by minus 1 is minus 2. And minus 2 add 3 is 1. I'll say that again. 2 by minus 1 is minus 2. And minus 2 add 3 is 1. So I will get 5 to the power 1, and anything to the power 1 is what? The same number. That's 5 there. Okay. I think the only ticklish thing that some students may have is remembering. So what's minus 2 add 3 again? And maybe I could just do some quick and show you all this. That if I have minus 2 plus 3 here, I am just saying if the signs are different, you subtract the two numbers. What is 3 minus 2? That'll be 1. And you put the sign of the larger number in front. The sign of the larger number is plus. So you really get plus 1, but I don't really need to put plus 1. I could just put 1. And that's this 1 down here. So it'd be 5 to the power 1, okay? Which is 5. That's B. 26. 40 students will take 20 days to paint a wall. How many days will it take to paint the same wall, I guess, if 10 more students were added? So instead of 40 students, now we ramp it up to 50. They're working at the same rate. So we want to know, hey, how long will it take 50 students to paint that same wall? I think common sense should tell us tonight or this evening that if I hire more labor or I hire more people, it should take less time, right? That's the first thing we need to understand. It cannot take more than 20 days. All right. So why did I say 40 students will get 20 days? 50 students is Y days. We do not know how much days it is. This is an example of indirect proportion, where as you increase one, the other decreases. In other words, if I increase the number of students, the number of days should decrease. One way of dealing with this is I can say 40 over 50 is equal to Y over 20. Because it is indirect, you kind of do a flip, right? This is one way of doing it. There are many ways. I just say 40 over 50 will give me Y over 20. And carrying, well, I guess what I did is that I actually kind of cross multiplied. So, I said 40 by 20. No, in other words, I can maybe just show another way to this. I could do another way here, right? 40 over 50, which is equal to Y over 20. I may have to improvise on the spot here. Easier way is just carry the 20 across. So 40 over 50. And I multiply by 20, okay, to get Y. Okay. So because 20 is divided, carrying it across to become multiply. And we just work it through from there. So 40 by 20 will give me what, 800. And I divide by the 50 below. I would have crossed all zeros, but to get at right now, and cross out 0 top and bottom, you remain with 80 over 5. What will be 80 over 5? Okay, 80 over 5 essentially will be what? 5 into 8 is 1. We made a 3. The 3 will go by the 0. That'll be 30. And 5 into 30 is what? 16. So you get 16 days equal to Y there. And that's the same 16 days I got here. I just I did an alternate approach, but hey, kind of just wanted that to kind of last a little bit, so y'all could just kind of take that in. Cool. So that's C. And it looks like we are done with the consumer arithmetic section. So we're going into 27. And we are reading. Say P is 2, 5 minus 1, 3. Value of the determinant of P. In other words, these two strokes it's called modulus. Modulus in maths in this context would refer to determinant. They have other meanings, but in this context, this is the same context, would be referring to your determinant. So dt for short, determinant of P is AD minus BC. Again, A will come like 2, B will come like 5, C is minus 1, 3 would be D. So what's A by D? It'll become 2 by 3. That's your first diagonal here. 2 by 3. Minus, what's BC? That'll be 5 by minus 1. right? So B by C will be 5 by minus 1. We know minus 1 minus is a plus, and 5 by 1 is 5. 2 3s are 6. So it'll be 6 add 5 by 1 is 5, and 6 plus 5 is what? 11, right? D as in dog. So determinant is 11. Yeah. All right, D. Number 28. A is all this. I'm not going to read that. What's the order of A? Order, again, for many, is your number of rows by your number of columns. How much rows do we have? Not 3 rows? How much columns do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the order will be what? 3 by 4. That should be copacetic, easy, straightforward. All right, we're going to do some vectors here. I had a scratch for that one. We read in here, item 29 refers to the following diagram of a parallelogram, that's this here, in which EF is parallel to HG. So EF is K parallel to HG. They say EH is parallel to FG. So this is EH, which is vector M, and that's parallel to FG. So yeah, I don't read the vectors already. They say EG expressed in terms of KM is. So I decided to do a quick something, draw vector EG, put in my arrow. So EG come like going from E to F and then from F to G. In other words, vector EG come like EF add FG, and maybe I could try and put some quick arrows here. So as vector EG come like, vector EF add vector FG. What is EF? K. What is FG? FG is parallel to EH. So FG come like M. So it'll be K add what? M. All these things should be underlined, but then you'll get the gist. So D as in dog, that's the answer for this one. 30, the halfway mark. 5 by xy is 4 by 10, 20. Values of x and y are. If I multiply the top, 5x equal 4 by 10 is 40. Carry the 5 across, you divide. Opposite multiply is divide. 40 divided by 5 again, 8. All right, below you have 5 by y would give you 4 by 20. 5 by y is 5y. 4 by 20 is 80. We are going to divide the 80 by 5. Again, opposite multiply is divide. Case is saying, so what I mean by that, 5 is multiplied by y. So if I carry the 5 across, you will be doing the opposite, which is dividing. 80 divided by 5, like what we did earlier, up here, you get 16. So x is 8, and y is what? 16. So that's B. So we halfway through the paper. We fighting through. We're not doing bad. Item 31 refers to the following diagram, which shows a cylinder whose diameter is 6 centimeters. You can see here, height is 21. Pi is 22, and so very important to know what it is. Okay, pi could also be 3.14. What's the volume of the cylinder in cm cubed? Formula that some students forget, right? Volume formula is pi by radius by height. Or pi r squared each, however you want to term it. Now, what is pi? 22 and 7 by what is the radius? Well, if diameter is 6, what would be the radius? Half, right? So half of 6 is what? 3? By 3 again, and what's your height? 21. All right, so working that through, and I mean, I could just show you quickly. I could just say what? 7 into 7 is what? 1, and 7 to 21 is what? 3. And it'll be 22 by 3 by 3 by 3. You'll get 594. You know, CMQ. That's C. So these questions, we could run through this, students, you all could run through these questions when you're doing your exam because, hey, once you know what to do, it's just to follow through with the computation. So that's where, again, just the tables, all that have to be practicing, constantly. Rectangular garden plot for number 32. 50 meters long, 12 meters wide, area is 18 meters squared, used for a vegetable garden. What area of the plot is not used for vegetable gardening? So the area that is not used will be the total area of the plot minus the area for your vegetable garden. What is the total area? It'll be 15 by 12. And you subtract the 80 from it. So 15 by 12 will give me 180. And 180 minus 80 will give me what? 100 meters squared. And that's B. B as in bat there. 33. How long will a speedboat take to travel between two harbors which are 1,080 kilometers apart? If it travels at an average speed of 120 kilometers per hour. If we isolate the figures and understand what they represent, the 1080 km, that is the distance. The 120 km per hour is the speed. Fine. They ask for what? How long? That's time. What's the formula for time? Distance over speed, something we need to know. So it'd be 1080 over 120. Cross out the zeros. You get 108 over 12, and everybody should have 9 hours, right? 108 over 12 is 9. I did you all the favor of just putting the two other formulae down here when you're making subject of the formula. Speed is distance on time, and distance is what? Speed by time. So the answer is B as in bat. 34. Lengths of the sides of a triangle are x, 2x, and 2x. Perimeter is 20 centimeters. What's the value of x? All right. If we add everything, it will give us the perimeter of 20. So it's x, add 2x again to give me 20. X add 2x is 3x. 3x add 2x is 5x equal to 20. And what we do is divide 20 by 5. You get 4 cm. Right, they ask for x, and we get x as 4. That's E. 35. We put the 4 in diagram trapezium. You all can see this here. Perimeter of the trapezium in millimeters is, well, first thing we need to do is just get the perimeter in meters and then convert to millimeters. So it's 0.41, add 0.21, add 0.18, add 0.12. It don't matter the order. Once you add all 4 of them, you'll get 0.92 meters. And we should know converting meters to millimeters. You multiply by 1,000 because 1,000 millimeters make 1 meter. So 0.92 by 1,000, you move the point just what? 3 places to your right. You'll get 920 millimeters at D as in dog. 36 refers to the following diagram, which shows a circle centered at O. Major arc and minor arc, major sector, sorry, and minor arc are indicated. Pi is 22.7. So this is your major sector, and this is your minor arc. If the area of the major sector is 115.5 cm squared, then the diameter of the circle in cm is. So here what? If this is 90 for the minor sector, because it has a minor arc. What is 360 degrees minus 90? Because you could easily 90 here. You get 270, right? So the angle of the major sector will be 270. That's 3/4. How is that helping us? Well, I will see here that the area 115.5 will be equal to the angle, which is 270. That's this, over my total of 360 by pi 22 and 7. Going multiplying by pi and then multiply by r. Again, the one diameter, we need to first find the radius and then double it. So 270 on 360 is 3/4, and 3/4 by 22 and 7. You'll get 33 over 14. If you break it down a little bit, multiply by r. Carry 33 on 14 across, opposite of multiply is divide. And we all know when you divide by a fraction, you what? Flip and multiply. So you get 115.5 multiplying by what? 14 over 33. So, we flip it. When you all work this out, you will get 49. So 49 is r by r. Now, what will be r? Square root of 49, because r squared is 49. Opposite of square is square root. I didn't show all that. I'm just saying, if you want to get r, you just get the square root. And what by what to get 49? Hey, 7. So if the radius is 7, what is my diameter? Diameter will be double. Double 7 will give you 14 cm. C. Item 37, first a foreign diagram, which shows a compound solid. Wow, look at this thing. Surface area. Wow, that's a lot of work, right? Say 1 TS, total surface area. What I did was I kind of lump sum the triangle and this rectangle as a trapezium. Maybe I could just shade it quick to show you all what I'm referring to. All right, so this here, I made out a whole trapezium and found the area of this whole thing, okay? Just saying. So I tackled the front and went to the sides. The front here will be what? 10 by 10, which is this. Maybe I could put tick by it. Plus, what's the area of the trapezium? We know it's half a plus b by height. So it'll be half of what? Shorter side is 10. The longer side will be what? And again, this longer side will be 8 plus what? This here is what? Not 10? Let me just put that in for clarity. So here's actually 10 cm. All right, so here to here is 10 cm. So this whole side here will be 18. That's how I get 18 down here. So area trapezium is half of a plus b by height. So it's half of 10 add what? 18 by my height. Now, because, hey, this trapezium come like a line down, my height will come like the base here, but it's really 12, which is this. And I have a 2 in front because guess what? How I have this side, I also have the right side. So I have two sides. Yeah. And that's why I have the 2 in front. Plus 10 by 18. Where did I get 10 by 18 from? Well, the back face would be what? It would be 10, according to this, by length of what? 18. So that's the back face here. 10 by 18. That's this. 12 by 10 would be and we got to make sure that we don't lose track of what we're doing. We found the area of this front. We found the area of the left side and the right side. We found the area of the back face. Now we're going to do the bottom part. The area of the bottom will be what? 12 by 10. And then finally, we're going to do the slanted face, which is 13 by what? 10. So 10 by 10 is 100. 10 plus 18, that is 28. 20 by half is 14. 14 by 12, right? And then 14 by 12 by 2, showing it here, you get 336. 10 by 18, 180. 12 by 10, 120. 13 by 10, 130. You add everything, you get 866. Very, I would say, very tricky. It's very easy to get lost of what face and where. You got to mark it out. I would be shading on that paper, to be honest. All right? Shading what face are doing. So you get 866. That is B as in bat. Took some time there. Distance around a lake is 8 km. On a map, this distance around the lake is represented by a length of 4 cm. Scale on the map is, well, if 4 cm represents 8 km, we want cm with cm. 8 km come like 8,000 meters. And converting the meters into centimeters, what do? Well, 1 meter will have 100 cm. So it's 8,000 by 100 cm. You get 800,000 cm. And you divide by 4 to get for 1. So 1 cm would be what? What's 0.82? So 1 cm come like 200,000 cm. D as in dog. So we kind of done with the measurement section. We're going into statistics now. And looking here, item 39 and 40, we put the following table, which shows the number of words that a group of 60 students got correct in a spelling test, which had 10 words. So you know how much gets 6 out of 10 words, 7 out of 10 words, etc. correct. More than the number of words spelled correctly is, mode again represents the value with the highest frequency. The most amount of students got 7 words correct out of 10. So your modal number of words would be 7. That's straightforward. Median number of words. I'm going to be one of the few teachers that still love to use this formula, n plus 1 on 2, to find your median, where n again is your total number of students, which we did learn up here to be 60. Is 60 plus 1 on 2. That's 61 on 2, which is 30.5. That 30.5 is not your median. That will represent the location of your median. 30.5 value is approximately your 31st value. Or in case you want to say, what do you mean by 31st value? How do we get that? Well, we add as you go across. What is 3 add 18? That'll be 21. What's 21 add 7? 30. So a student might be tempted to go up here and say, well, 8 is my median. No, it's 31st value. So the 31st value being here. The first 30 people was up to here. 31st will jump into the other category. And your 31st will be in here, will go up to what? 9 words. So your median number of words spelled correctly is 9. Okay? 9. That's B. 41. And that referred to the following pie chart, which shows, by the way, finished 2/3 of the people. Shows the popular games played by a group of students. You see it here. If 180 students play football, how many students are in the group? Football is a 90-degree. That means quarter of the circle represents football. Quarter represents 180. What will be my total? Well, I could say one way is just saying 360 over 90, which we all know is quarter anyway. So, you know, all right, when I say quarter, I mean 4. So 90 into 360 is 4. So, you know, 4 quarters make a whole. Just 4 by 180 would give me 720 students in all. All right, again, it's 4 times that number. Yeah. You get 720. 42 refer to the following chart, which shows the amount of shift bought in kilograms by the first 60 customers in a fish market. They say how many customers bought at least 6 kilograms of fish. At least 6 kilograms. That's 6 and more. 6 here is what? That would be what, 11? It's between 10 and 12, like 11 people. Here's what? 5. So it's 11 add 5. Here's what? 4. So you're adding 4 to that. Here would be what? 7. So you add 7. Here would be what? 3. So 11 add 5, that's 16 add 4, 20, add 7 and 3, 10, 20 add 10, you get you 30 customers, that's C. 43, very interesting question that is so irritatingly long. Item 43 for the following diagram, which shows cumulative frequency curve are the heights of 20 seedlings. The one semi-interquartile range of the set of measurements. All right. So I guess semi-interquartile range. I need to get my lower quartile, my upper quartile, subtract them, and divide by 2. How do I do that? Quartile is 25% of my total frequency, which is what, 20 in this case. 25% of 20 is 5, as a quartile of 20 is 5. So I look for 5, go across and come down. Again, because I diagram, my answer will not be very accurate. Okay, but each block down here is 0.2. So this will be like between 1.2 and 1.4. So I get like what, 1.3, I guess, cm. Upper quartile is 75% of 20, which is 3/4 of 20 is 15. So we look for 15 on the cumulative frequency, go across and come down. It looked like it's between 2.6 and 2.8. So I'll just call that 2.7. So yeah, your quartile range, which is your upper minus your lower values, will be 2.7 minus 1.3 to get 1.4 cm. And what we do it is that to get it semi-interquartile, you divide it by 2 and you get 0.7 cm. Yeah? Cool. Closest thing to that was 8.65. You had to bear with me. 44, 600 students sit an exam. Probability of a randomly selected student failing the exam is 1/5. How many students expected to pass the exam? Probability of passing, we all know total probability is 1. So it's 1 minus 1/5 would give me the probability of passing. Great failing is 1/5. And the senior is either you can fail or pass, right? Probability of passing is 1 minus 1/5, that is 4/5. And you just find 4/5 of 600 to give me 480. Right? Because 5 into 600 will be 120. 120 by 4 will give you 480. Students, that is the amount of students who are expected to pass that exam. So let's see. 45, which are the following line graphs represents x is less than minus 2. So it's not including minus 2. Not less than, I mean x is more than minus 2. Or in other words, minus 2 less than x, x less than or equal to 4. Which one shows that? So you have your two circles, one at minus 2 and one at 4. So all answers have that. But once you have a less than or more than, you're using a clear circle, as I said here. All right. So this would be a clear circle, either A or D. Less than or equal to would be shaded. You can see this. More than or equal to or less than or equal to is shaded. So D as in dog, A is wrong. 46. Which of the following represents the equation of a straight line? Now, without going too much into this, I'll say it's this one because it is in the form of y equal mx plus c, like what I put here. Y equal mx plus c. M is your gradient, C is your y-intercept. It's in that format, so the answer is B as in bat. 47, what's the gradient of the straight line? 2y equal minus 3x minus 8. What we can do here, class, is divide each term by 2. So I'll get minus 3x over 2, which is minus 3 on 2 by x, same thing. Divide the 8 by 2, you get minus 4. So what's the gradient? The gradient is the value in front of x, the coefficient of x. That's minus 3 on 2. Simple. 48 and 49. Refer to the following graph of a quadratic function. So we finally enter functions and relations. Actually, we did start it here, my bad. Maximum point of y equal 4x minus x squared is. That is so easy. The maximum point you could see would be what? 2 comma what? 4? 2 comma 4. That's D. 49, according to the graph, solution of the equations. Y equal 4x minus x squared and y equals 0. Y equals 0 is the x-axis, sorry. So the solution between the curve, which is this, and the x-axis is where they meet. They meet at 2 points. 0 and 4. So the x values are 0 and 4. And process elimination, you can immediately see easy answer. I went into all that hula bula, but you don't need to. But x is 0 and 4. Everything else is wrong. So, easy answer. And the rest is not much good. Just I don't know why it's 0 because it is at the x-axis. So it's 8. 50. H of x is 4x squared minus 6. So what's h of minus a half? Substitute minus a half into the equation for x. It'll be 4 by minus a half squared minus 6. Minus a half squared. Minus a half by minus a half. That would give me a quarter, and 4 by a quarter would give me 1. I'll say that again. Minus a half by minus a half will give me a quarter, and 4 by a quarter will give me 1. Subtract 6, you get minus 5. That'd be as in bat. A line L is perpendicular to the line 2x minus y minus 8 is 0. Gradient of the line L is. Okay. So first what we need to do is get the gradient of this equation. So we need to make y the subject of the formula to get in the form of y equal mx plus c. So, we carry the 2x across, it becomes minus 2x because, the sign in front of the 2x is plus. So we go across, it becomes minus 2x. Carry the minus 8 across, the minus 8 becomes plus 8. So it's minus 2x plus 8. And then we divide by the minus sign or divide by minus 1, same thing. As we know, minus divide by a minus will give you a plus, so it's plus 2x. And this plus divided by this minus will give you a minus, so you get minus 8. But we're interested in the value in front of x because the value in front of x will be the gradient of the line, which is 2. That gradient, which is 2, can help us find the gradient of L. L is perpendicular. With perpendicular lines, what we do is take the gradient of one of the lines and get the negative reciprocal of that to be the gradient of the other line. So the negative reciprocal of 2 will be minus a half, which will be the gradient of the perpendicular line, in this case, the gradient of L. So that's B as in bat. 52, which for instance is represented by the function f of x is x squared plus 3, where x belong to, remember, 0, 1, 2, 3. Again, you need to substitute when x is 0 into this. You get 0 squared plus 3. 0 squared is 0. 0 at 3 is 3. So my first coordinate pair will be x as 0 and y as 3. You see all of the answers of that. The next one, when x is 1, It'd be what? 1 squared plus 3. 1 squared is 1. 1 add 3 is 4. So my second coordinate pair will be 1, which is x, comma, y, which is 4. So you know A is wrong and C is wrong. The third one would be when x is 2. It'll be what? 2 squared add 3. 2 2s are 4. 4 add 3 is 7. So your third coordinate pair will be what? 2, comma, 3. Did I say 3? 2, comma, 7. I apologize. 2, comma, 7. So I don't need to go further. I don't see D's the answer. D has the first 3 answers. So I mean, I went ahead and do the rest, but you don't need to, right? First 3 answers, first 3 pairs, we don't see D is the answer, okay? 53 refers to the following diagram of a circle. Strange enough, the point circle theorem now. Don't really get that, so with center at O, angle POQ is 122, value of Y is. And I had to go in detail to put down the theorem to be used. Y will be half of 122, which is 61. And in case you're wondering why Y is 61, the theorem is that any angle at the circumference is half the angle at the center, assuming that both angles come from the same chord. I drew in a chord which we did not see, but you know, I put it in to let us understand that both angles can subtend from this imaginary chord PQ. So the theorem can be followed, which is Y being half of 122, because Y is at the circumference while the angle here is at the center. Y will be half of 122 is 61. Again, assuming both angles come from the same chord. This. 54. In diagram PQ and RS are parallel. Which of the following best describes the relation between X and Y? Well, X and Y are equal. You call them what? Alternate angles, where both angles are on opposite sides of the traversal. This is the traversal. And they form a kind of Z. You know, if I just do that quickly, they form like a kind of a Z fashion. That's the Z there. And alternate angles are equal, right? So X equal to Y. Okay, that's A. Item 55 refers to the following diagram. It shows triangle ABC. That's here. And its images A prime, B prime, C prime. That's this. And A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. That's down here. After triangle ABC, that's this. And it goes a complete or double transformation. Okay. What sequence of transformations will map triangle ABC onto A double prime, B double prime, C double prime? Well, if we look at this and just looking at what I did for the answer one time, you know, if ABC is actually reflected about the line X equal 1, which would be here, you'll get this triangle. So if I just put in X equal 1, wow, sorry. Let me do over that. This is X equal 1. Okay. If I reflect this about X equal 1, you'll get this triangle. In case you're wondering how, this is 2 blocks here, and here's also 2 blocks. This is what? 4 blocks. Here's also 4 blocks. So the points are equidistant. They're on equal sides of the axis or the mirror line. Now, when you get this, how do I go from here to here? If I just pick a point like C prime and how we get to C double prime, it went down 4 blocks, and then 3 blocks to your left. So that vector will be 4 down will be -4 because you're going downwards, and the 3 to your left is represented by -3. Obviously, the -3 be on top because the x value or your horizontal value goes on top while your y value goes below. So it's a reflection along the line x equal 1, which is this. And when you get this, you shift it down by 4 blocks and then 3 blocks to your left. That's -3 and -4. Again, the horizontal shift will go on top, the vertical shift below. X on top, Y movement below. So that is A. 56. Which I find diagrams? A prime is the image of A. Which I diagram shows a reflection in the x-axis? This is the x-axis. So if you're reflecting, how to go downwards, right? That's this one. Very easy, straightforward. That's D as in dog. This going down. That's it. 57, triangle ABC. Angle A is x degrees. Angle B is 2x degrees. What's the size of angle C? If I add all 3 angles, I should get 180. X plus 2x is 3x. Plus C is 180. Carry the 3x across. And the plus will become minus. So it'll be 180 minus 3x will be C. That's E. 58. First of the following diagram, which shows the angle of elevation of a point Z from X. Okay. All right, is the angle of elevation 35 degrees. Angle elevation of the point Z from X is 35. If X is 15 meters, as you could see from Z, then the height YZ in meters is what? Now, if I use sine 35 will be opposite, which is YZ, over my hypotenuse, which is 15. In case you're wondering, so how you know here's the hypotenuse? The hypotenuse of the right angle triangle, which is the longest side, always faces the right angle. So 15 faces the right angle, making this the hypotenuse. So sine 35 is YZ over 15. In case you're wondering why I use sine, is because, hey, I can't get YZ using sine because carry the 15 across, opposite divides multiply, it'll be 15 by sine 35 to get YZ. Cos will not give me that. Cos will be adjacent over hypotenuse. YZ is totally away from that. Okay? So YZ is 15 by sine 35, that is C. 59. First of the following pair of similar triangles. The length of MO in centimeters is? Well, immediately you can see MN is half of AB. So these congruent triangles, because they're similar, they have similar angles, and their sides are in a particular ratio. So if MN is half of AB, because 3 is half of 6, what would be MO? MO should be half of AC, right? Keeping in that same pattern. What's half of 7? 3.5. B. Last one for tonight. I'll say tonight now. Under the translation -2, 3, the image of -5, 3 is. I could not get this properly. Class, bear with me with the matrix form. -5 on top, 3 below. When I add this to it to get the image, what's -5 add -2? That's -7. What's 3 add 3 below? 6. So as a coordinate, it'll be -7, comma 6. And that's the image. So students, I hope that this session was able to help you all understand or get a greater grasp on maths. By just watching the questions, students will realize the questions are a little more analytical, a little more critical thinking, okay? They're not as straightforward as they used to be. So you all need to revise, okay? And just do as much past papers as possible. keep in touch with us. Please do like and subscribe to the channel, the YouTube channel of Early to CXC. And my name is Mr. Khan again. I just want to thank you all for being a great audience. All right. So I do wish you all the best in your exam for Jan. And, just keep positive, keep studying, keep revising. And, let success flow from there. Okay. So thank you again for everything. Do have a good night. And it was a pleasure, right? So be safe, everybody. Do take care.